Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 5 Tips and Tricks for Careers in Athletics. I am your host, Dr. Maury Mosfitz, with my all-time most favorite, most wonderful, most special co-host, Jen Albanese. Hi, Jen.
Hello, Maury. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the podcast. How's everybody doing?
I have so much excitement in my heart for today's episode.
Me too. This is a good one, as always, but this
Andrea
is really good.
Doa, who we just love. I mean, she was one of yours, but I felt in some ways she was one of mine as well. Like, I just so enjoy her. Spent time with us at Syracuse, but now is leading her own unit at a D2 institution, which is really neat. So taking the perspective of someone that's worked at different levels of college athletics and in the marketing role. So it's always amazing. There's always a good time to be had when you're with Andrea.
Yeah, she makes everyone smile and she just exudes joy. She is the best. And I claim her as one of my own for sure. And I'm so proud of all the work that she's doing. And we got to see her just recently. And I love that she still comes up and visits us. And we're so lucky that we have that relationship with her. And so this will be such a good conversation. I mean, just already smiling thinking
I can always have a conversation with her. Like, her and I could find any stupid thing to talk about. Like, when Love is Blind first came out, her and I would go and talk about like each episode. She'd be like, did you see the time the dog drank the wine? And like everyone else is looking at us like, how stupid are the two of you? But we would get so into it. And we'd be like, I think that person like just didn't have a good childhood. And that's why that they are attracted to that person. And like, is it really that they're blind because they get to see each other? And then that's really skewing. So like her and I would spend way too long on the original season of Love is Blind because my wife and I would watch it. And I would just talk to her about like the psychology of it, like how insane these people are. And it just, what a great conversation that was.
People are like, what the hell are you talking about? Oh my God. It was so great though. Those were so many fun stories about talking about shows and what everybody was watching. And it was,
you would get into shenanigans with her all the time. Like the two of you had stuff.
Yes, we did. We obviously have our love for Taylor Swift, and that's one of my favorite memories. When obviously we've talked about this on the podcast, we all wanted to go to the Eras Tour, and she actually went to the original, like her first leg of the Eras Tour, and like got tickets in the lottery. So like she sat on the floor and paid like a normal fee. Unfortunately, I did not.
You did not, and unfortunately for me too, you all did not.
That's correct. So it was at work when we bought the tickets on StubHub. And I remember Andrea was like my support person, and she was standing behind me, like holding my hand when I was like shaking to buy the tickets for me and Liz and the girls. And I remember just like jumping up and down, and we were both crying, and I was like hugging her. And it was,
I just want to let everyone know, this is not an exaggeration. Everything that she is saying, the shaking, the crying, was happening to these two grown women over buying concert tickets. And you would have thought to them this was the most normal thing. So
it was totally normal. It was great. It was such an incredible memory, and I will hold that forever in my heart.
And this is why the two of them were made for each other in these really contexts.
I just love her so much. It was so much fun.
And the great part about her is you can always talk to her. She's always got a smile and energy and upbeat. And so I know these next tips that come up after these messages are going to be awesome, and we can't wait to have her on. So Andrea Doa after these messages.
Are you a loyal 5 Tips and Tricks podcast listener? If not, now is the time to start. Get all your info and fun content on the podcast by following us on all our social channels at @AthCareerPod. The 5 Tips and Tricks podcast is a part of Athletic Career Consulting. Make sure to reach out to us. The one-stop shop for everything is our website, www.athcareer.com. Remember, follow and like us on @AthCareerPod, rate and review us, and get all your info at www.athcareer.com. Okay, everybody, welcome back. Maury, would you like to introduce our guest today?
From exciting on-field promotions with a Lansing lug nuts to the earning degrees from Grand Valley State and Oakland University, tonight's guest built her foundation in the tensions of live sports entertainment. As a graduate assistant at Oakland University, a sponsorship assistant with Playfly Sports Properties, she sharpened her skills in game presentation, production, and the business of athletics, all while completing her MBA. Those skills took her to Syracuse University, where as a marketing coordinator, she became the engine behind women's basketball and men's lacrosse, calling shows, managing 40-plus game day interns, and helping Syracuse men's lacrosse maintain its standing on the national attendance leaders record. A member of the NACMA, a women's leader in sport on the Rise honoree, and an assistant coach with the Saline Twirlettes. She is a creative force who makes every fan experience unforgettable. And today she brings all of that to Canyon, Texas, where she is the assistant athletic director of marketing at West Texas A&M University. She leads game day production across 16 varsity sports, is building out the department's broadcasting and creative arm, and has already driven significant revenue growth since arriving in 2025. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, Andrea Doa. Welcome.
Yay!
Hey!
Thank you.
And hi to her parents. There's a shout out to her
Hi,
parents.
Mom and Dad.
Thanks for listening. We
Oh
love
my
you.
gosh. Yes. You guys
So is
got
all
two
the-
more fans.
So as everyone that's listening now knows, Andrea is very familiar with us. She is used to our antics and has no problem playing along with all of our craziness. So we are so happy to have you.
Lots
this
of
is gonna
smiles over here.
be such a fun episode. So excited to have Andrea here, one of my all-time favorites. So I'm very much looking forward to chatting and catching up because I miss her so much.
We've been saving her.
Even though I saw her 2 days ago, but still, I miss her so much.
Oh, how lucky are we, Jen?
I know.
I feel like we've been saving her for a rainy day when you just want to smile, like bring Andrea on.
And it has been a year, baby,
Perfect.
and we needed a smile. Let me just tell you, we needed a smile.
Me too. Me
So
too.
with those smiles, let's get some tips. So Andrea, jump right in.
Yes. All right. So we could sit here and yap all day, but
Yes.
I think something that is really important and something that I've learned a lot in my new role, I took on a lot of leadership and responsibility, is that it is so important to diversify your skill set by saying yes. Say yes to opportunities that put you in an uncomfortable situation. Whether you're in marketing and you pick up a camera for the first time and they say, go shoot the men's soccer game, we need a photographer. That makes you so much more valuable to your department. It makes you so much more valuable when you're applying to new jobs. Coming back down to the D2 space, I had no idea, how lucky we were at Syracuse to have a graphic designer, a videographer, an SID for every sport. I now know what it takes to make that silly little video that I want to throw up on the video board for a women's basketball game. So it makes me a better leader. When I have to oversee those people, I know what they're going through on their day to day, and it makes me a better teammate. So diversify your skill set, volunteer at your local sports league, say yes to opportunities. It really opens the door and it makes you so much more valuable to your organization.
Yeah, I think of it as like the Swiss Army knife. Like you have to have every part of those things to bring out in your skill set.
Absolutely.
And like how the other part of it that I've talked to people about is it also like just creates a bond between everybody in the department because it gives this feeling of like, hey, we're all in it together. And so often people get, and like I think we always have had that like fun and connectiveness, and like because we're always able to like, you need us to jump in and do this, we're here to help you. And that changes the culture, and I think that's like one of the nicest parts. So I agree, don't be afraid to like jump in, do things that you're not, like put your hand up and volunteer. You need someone to drive to a community service event, like be the person that helps get that stuff done, because it all those little things builds up into such a better operation for the whole.
Yeah, I think students today too get so I don't want to say siloed, but so focused on one thing, whether it's analytics, or it's okay, I'm just going to do ticket sales, or I'm just going to do an internship in this. Like, internships are there to be able to try everything and
Absolutely.
and you don't have to be an expert. I think that's, you're saying that too. Like, no one's expecting you to be expert in everything, but to be able to understand it is so important because, like you said, I mean, I love that you said that you're a better teammate, you're a better leader because you understand what everybody's going through and the challenges that they face and how you can help them through that. So I think students listening, that's a really good one to understand. Like, even though you're an analytics student doesn't mean you shouldn't understand what happens in facilities or what happens in marketing or what happens in, in athletic communications or creative. Like, it's good to have that understanding and knowledge because it's only going to help you go further in your career.
Do you know what's
I
funny?
love that.
I feel like that even goes into, like, we're talking all the time about these students that say, I want to be an AD, I want to be a GM, I want to be at these really high positions. But the reality of, like, how the business works is you start off like as a specialist, right? You start off trying to learn like a very specific craft, whether it be marketing. And I had this conversation with a student recently, marketing or facilities or, creative. And you start in that vein. But the reality is the farther you go up, the more generalist you have to become.
100%.
You have to know what everyone else does. Like, now that I do sports supervision, now that I know sports supervision, I have to be able to know how all these other things work. And I feel so fortunate because I've had the opportunity to work with them and volunteer with them and get involved, like you said, and put my hand up. And that means that when I'm going to help and be more broad in what my new roles are, it makes it a lot easier for me to do my job. So, like, that's a perfect tip.
Yeah, and I think too, half the battle of working in sports is figuring out what you don't want to do. There are so
100%.
many niche
Yes.
things that you can get into, and checking them off backwards. Okay, don't love being an SID, don't like doing
Yeah.
analytics. It really helps you kind of narrow that down, but you're still getting experience. So when you do get up to that higher level, you can build that trust with your team that I did that, I tried it, I know what you're going through. But I mean, half the battle is figuring out, absolutely not, I don't want to do that.
100%. 100%.
Perfect.
That's so good.
Okay, we're rolling with the first one. That was awesome. What do we got for number 2?
This is my soapbox that I always stand on. You are your brand. So at the end of the day, your reputation follows you so much further than any promotion, than any meeting, than, any email that you send. You can be the best person at your job, but if you are not good to work with, not fun to work with, you don't contribute positively to the culture, people don't want you on your team. Especially with students, there are 1,000,001 of the same student applying for the job that you want. Same resume, experience, references. So those soft skills are what sets you apart. So when somebody asks you to roll a t-shirt and this is the last thing I want to do right now, I remember that more than I remember whatever you did in the office. So the environment you help create will outlast any, hard skill thing that you do in your job.
Oh my God, that is like the life right there. Like, that is so on point because, and Andrea, I'm going to use you as an example. Like, we were hiring for your position at Syracuse. And like you said, there's 10 people that have the same experience. But when it comes down to it, the final 2 or 3, it's like, would I want to spend time with this person? Would I want to be at a basketball game till 10 p.m. with them? And would they be okay with that? Would they be good to talk to? Would they be fun to be around? Would they fit into the group? And yeah, all the skills are the same. Like I know you can write a script and you can call a game, but am I going to like spending time with you and being around you in the office? And it's funny, I always ask the question in the interviews, Andrew, I don't remember if you remember this one, but who would you have dinner with if you could pick anybody, living or dead? And that tells a lot about somebody of like who they'd pick. Now, a lot of people pick the sentimental, like my grandma, my grandpa, like, and that's great. But if you pick like somebody in sports, or if you pick a singer, then you get to know about like what they like to do outside of work, though all those things matter. So being able to showcase who you are as a person, not only your skills, but you as a person, is really, really important to get an internship, get a job, and move up in your career. So do you remember what your answer was?
It was Adele. And
Yes,
I
it
am
was.
still waiting on that, and I want to go see her in concert so bad.
It was Adele. You are correct.
Every time you ask that question, something comes to my mind. Is like, what if someone ever answered you and been like, "I want dead Abraham Lincoln to come to dinner"? Like, what if
But that
they
would
said
be
like,
so
you say
cool.
living or dead, but he would be dead. Like, what kind of
Right.
dinner would that be? No,
But
I'm
then,
joking.
no. But then I would.
Just,
The question
just,
is why? Like why? Oh,
I
because
know.
he'd be so interesting to talk
You'd
to.
remember
Like,
them, Maury.
you know
You
what I
would
mean?
Yes.
remember them.
That I've never
Nobody
had
steal
dinner with
my
a dead
question.
person before.
There you go.
Nobody steal my question, but it's so true, Andrea. Like, I love the fact of like your brand is you and your reputation, and that's something you can't ever
No.
take away from you. No matter what you do, your reputation will always be there.
Yeah.
So
But
that's a good
it
one.
definitely can hurt you in the future. Like it definitely can, because the world of athletics is so small and so many people know one another, and like how many times like I've thought about like, hey, we're looking to hire this person, like, and from a different school, and like, who we are, like, what do you think they'll be fit in? And you got to be like, they have like a different way of, dealing with things, and you got to kind of be really broad. And it's like, oh, okay, so they're not like one of our type of people. And the reality is like a lot of the people that work in our industry have to have a mentality of like, we're all into this. We're not, the ones that's the worst, I think we put as like people that think they're above doing anything, or that like they are God's gift to green earth about how they do stuff. And then all of a sudden you're dealing with that all the time, because we're with each other so much. You need somebody that'll be in the trenches with you no matter what.
Right,
And
right.
that's the people that you remember. And so, yeah, it's probably one of the best tips that you could give anyone that actually wants to be into the industry.
Yeah, and I think it's a good life skill in general. Like your
100%.
reputation follows you everywhere. Like I try to exude joy, as you can tell, and that is something you can take into everyday life to just make you a better person. So it is so important and so memorable.
Absolutely. And you do exude joy. Absolutely.
Yes. And
Thank
no
you.
surprise, you're killing
Yes.
the cast so far. So with that, I think we're already up to number 3.
Yep.
Awesome. So this one I'm going to start with a bit of an anecdote. In my new job, obviously, a bigger title, more responsibility, more leadership, I have found myself having what I would call WWMJD moments. What would Maury and Jen do?
Oh,
Um,
stop it. We got to make a t-shirt
because
with that. T-shirt.
That
yes, this is merch for the pod. I'll take a hat. Thank you so much. Because so my tip is to actively listen and be present. Watching you two solve problems, interact with different people within the department, and being able to sit back and listen and learn in those moments has taught me a bazillion things that I didn't even know I was learning while I was sitting there. So being able to recall moments, you're sitting in a meeting and you two are leading the meeting and it's really important, you're talking with senior staff, being able to replicate that in my job now has again like set me apart from other people. I didn't do anything, I didn't learn any hard skills, I just sat back and I observed and I listened. So being able to take those moments, you don't need to be the loudest person in the room, you don't need to have all the answers to the questions, but to be able to sit back, listen and learn, there is so much unrecognized growth in those moments.
And that doesn't go away the longer you're in your job.
Right.
Because I still see times where you sit back and you go, okay, like, wow, that was handled like a really good way. I'm going to keep note of that. And, there's people throughout, like Herm Fraser. That's one, like you sit back and you watch him navigate things and you go, ooh, that was a really interesting way he said that, because he threaded the needle really interesting on how he put his point across, but did it without, making someone, trying to be more targeted toward them. Or, I feel like I've been in things with, say out to Pete Sal about how you address an issue in a certain way to get things done and to be very clear and precise and to say, hey, who's following up on this? I got to know who is going to be responsible. He taught me that, like, you can't let it linger. How many times you go to the end of a meeting, everyone goes, okay, today we got to paint the room. And then everyone walks out and no one was assigned to paint the room. Like, you walk out of a Pete Sala meeting, you always know who's painting the room. And so like those times are like so valuable. And you're right. If you're not in it and you don't think about it, you might have no idea how valuable that is.
Yeah, it's almost a little bit of a cheat code, like especially when you're starting your career, to walk in these meetings, you have nothing to do with them. You're merely there. I know Jen will take our interns to bigger meetings just to get them some exposure. You see how then you can communicate with the people in those meetings to get what you need or want done. The way I communicate with Jen, totally different than the way I would communicate with Maury, but you sit back and you watch people do it and then you can replicate it. So for those people starting out in their careers, go to the meeting. If people invite you into rooms, go into the meeting and learn something. I think that is so important.
It's really valuable. And I'm, having those interns there, like, yeah, it's crazy to walk in with 10 people behind you, but I'm doing that. And people do that so that you have those opportunities where you can just listen. Because I think sometimes, and you said it too, like, you don't have to be the one talking. You don't have to be the loudest one in the room. And that is so important. And I think if you learn that early on, that it's so much better to listen and be able to take a minute and put your thoughts together before you just just say things, because you can't take back what you say. And again, it goes back to the point of your reputation. Like, what you say is your reputation, and how you handle yourself is your reputation. So I hope that I help when you make a good job. I hope there's some help
Yes,
there, but
absolutely.
I'm not perfect. There's certainly ways I probably not handled things well, but I think the listening piece is so key to be able to learn from that.
Do you know what I was going to put on there? Sometimes it's just as good to see what you shouldn't do. Like, there's
exactly.
100%.
We've had a lot of those moments.
There are times where, Jen and I have been in meetings and we're sitting in there and we hear something come out and we kind of look at each other and like, ooh, that's probably not the best way you should have handled it. And you see the outcome of it. So it goes both ways. And hopefully more times you're learning what to do and what not to do.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I think to be, like you said, be an open listener, put yourself in the room and really talk about that. And I'd also say for people that are younger, don't be afraid to, like, once you leave the room and you're with your supervisor or you're with whoever brought you into that, to ask questions about it.
Yeah.
Because I think people are afraid about that. Like, if you don't have context or something, or you want to really understand in depth, like, do it. Talk to those people that brought you in the room. They brought you for a reason, to give you the experience or to get you to get towards somewhere in your career. Like, dive into that information, get in depth with it. So great tip.
So good.
Yeah.
All right. And we'll work on the hat for you. You got it. Got it.
Yes. Perfect. Send me one. I'll send you the Texas address.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. Number 4.
Yes.
All right. Perfect. So this one is super targeted to the game presentation role and marketing and kind of what that is evolving to in college athletics. And you really have to put in the effort to learn your audience. I think that is something that a lot of people don't recognize takes so much effort. What worked in Syracuse women's basketball is certainly not the same thing that is going to work here in Texas with our women's basketball crowd. And as frustrating as that can be, as someone who, put a lot of love and heart and soul into the things I did there, it is almost taking on that challenge as something exciting. You get to learn what makes people tick, what makes them excited. You are constantly reading the room in real time to make those decisions. And then, the glory of once you crack the code with an audience, like, your show can just go crazy. You know what makes them tick. You know what makes them excited. So that is the fun part. And then obviously outside of game day, like we've kind of talked about in all the other tips, you need to know who you're talking to. In a meeting, in an email, learn your audience, be able to learn how to read people and read groups of people and get your messaging across effectively, especially in game pres when we are being thrown sponsorships and music and you have people up top think that they know everything and they want you to do all these things at a game day. You know, it's really important to know your audience and then be able to convey that to other people.
Oh, so good too. I mean, even here at Syracuse, you can see the difference like between men's and women's basketball. Like our audience is not the same. We always said like, you know, women's basketball, the demographic was more families and kids and older folks, and like what works for them doesn't necessarily work for the men's basketball crowd or the football crowd. And trying to like cram everything to be exactly the same is only going to not bring any success. So I love that, and really trusting. I think once you figure out what works, really working towards that, and it might not be the most popular thing, or it might take some convincing, but I think showing those examples, like this music is better for this crowd than over here. Like, so I think that's really interesting, and to understand who you're talking to. And you said this before, like talking to me is going to be different than talking to an intern, or so it's understanding that audience, and knowing that. And that takes practice. That takes a lot of practice.
So the question I have for the two of you is, how do you deal with when someone comes and goes, well, at Oklahoma's football game, they do this song and they all get so excited for it. And then you go and like they push and push and like, okay, we'll try it. And then nothing happens during the games here. Like, how do you deal with that with people? Because all the time it's like, well, you know, over here they did it and they do such a good job with it because, and like why does it work? Why does it
I'll let Andrea answer that one.
It is, as someone who just came into a role and kind of got to architect an entire new game day and in a new environment, it's, you get compared to those schools a lot, the Oklahomas, the Alabamas, the Michigans of the world. I think the biggest thing is, before you get to the point of it being forced upon you to try it, is to try something else. They obviously, the person wants a song. Okay, let's try to find a song that fits us before we go and copy what someone else is doing. When you've exhausted every option that we could do for ourselves, okay, we'll throw Mr. Brightside out there, and we'll try to be like Michigan and get everybody up and going. I think if you can have the people trust you and you can get what they're trying to get at, but do it in your own font a little bit before it gets to the point of copying, that is the easiest thing. And again, if you know your audience and you can convey that well to senior staff and to people that maybe aren't as involved in game days, I think that goes a lot way and kind of, you know, gives you some ground to stand on.
Yeah, I agree. I was going to say, I always say like things like that have to happen organically. So listening to your fans and what they say, not necessarily one person. And, you know, I'm not saying you can't play Mr. Brightside in your game. You can play it at other points. But if you're trying to be exactly like Michigan, that's not Syracuse. That's not West Texas. Like those are different people and different crowds. So for me, it's always something that's organic. So what are the students really into? What are our season ticket holders like? Ask them. Like we ask those questions on surveys. We talk about it with our fan council. Like, what do you guys like? What kind of songs do you like? Instead of us just picking it out of a hat saying, okay, this administrator thinks that this is the right answer. So, you know, going back to like understanding your fans, listen to them, let them tell you, and then try to make it work organically.
And I would think it's hard to get lightning in a bottle where you have all those different groups and then they all congeal around one similar thing. Like that, I mean, that's a very lucky break. Like that's not something that you can make happen. Like, so what I feel like I see you guys doing is a lot is playing to different demographics to try and get everybody involved. And then trying to find those things that clearly is going to reach grandma and then reach little Billy on the other side is like, that's a hard thing to do. And I, you know, sit at some of these meetings and watch you all get pummeled with like, well, why didn't we do this cam or do this thing? And it's like, well, you know, in Texas, they might be a little bit heavier on country music than they're going to be in upstate New York, but we're just going to try it anyways because that's what, you know, they did it, you know, University of Texas. Like, it's a hard thing. And like, there's so many variables to what you guys do that people just completely forget about. I give you a lot of credit for your patience with that.
Yeah, it takes a lot of that.
It takes a lot of that. And Andrea is way better than I am. So I love that. That's good. Good stuff.
Awesome. Oh, well, I
Okay.
think we're down to the last one.
I know.
Okay.
All right. So what do you know now, Andrea, that you wish you knew then? So what do you know now at this point in your career that you wish you knew when you first started?
Yes, I wish I had someone to come and shake me by the shoulders and tell me this when I was 18, throwing out t-shirts at my first football game, that do not be afraid to fail. I think, and that does not mean don't prepare. That does not mean rely on being able to fail. It means taking risks that is going to, help you learn and help you grow. There's a quote that I live by: never let the fear of striking out keep you from playing the game. Just because you did something and it failed, you are already one step ahead of the person that never tried at all. You are one step ahead of the person that said, ugh, I don't want to say that. I don't want to speak up in that meeting. I don't want to try this promotion. I can't even begin to count the amount of opportunities and ideas that I have let go to the wayside in the early parts of my career because I was so afraid to not be perfect, it not go well. So do not be afraid to fail. Take calculated risks. That is where you learn everything.
Big
my
risk,
God,
big
so
reward.
Mm-hmm.
Where is the people? I mean, that's so good because, and in the end, like what we're doing as a job is not life or death. You know what I mean? So, throw the things at the wall. If some of them stick, they stick. If they don't, that's okay too. But if you don't try, you'll never know. And I mean, I think Andrea, you and I have talked about it. Like even in decisions that you make for your career or where you go, like you may think, oh my God, is this right? Is this wrong? Like you're learning no matter what. And
Mm-hmm.
I just think that's such a good outlook to have, like to not be afraid. And I think, again, people get so focused on, I got to do this. I have to continue this way. I can't veer off this path because I'm afraid something bad's going to happen or this isn't going to work out or I'm not going to make enough money. I'm not going to be able to pay my bills. Like all of those things will work itself out. So don't be afraid to do those things. So
Yeah,
that was so good.
absolutely. The show will go on. The show will
Always.
go on.
Life
You will
goes on.
fail, you will fall down. The show will go on.
Life goes on, man. You wake up the next day and you keep moving. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's life in
Absolutely.
general. So many life lessons. I feel so much so like
Andrea
so
bringing up the
deep.
room.
I love
She's
it.
just,
I love
it's
The
it.
energy
the way it
is
goes.
just so positive. I did my good deed of the day.
We love the positive energy.
I
And
love
with
it.
that, we're at the end. Can you
I
believe
know.
it?
Oh, so sad.
It
This
just
was
flew
so
by.
fun.
We could talk for hours. Let's
Yeah.
be real. We could talk about
Oh
this
yeah.
stuff for
Oh
hours.
yeah.
But yeah, this was great. So
Well, thanks for being here. And,
Yes.
you're always welcome back to Syracuse. And we always love seeing you. So just make sure that you're always keeping in touch with us because that's a special thing
Yes.
for Jen and I know both. It's to
we say
see you and spend time with
she
you.
comes quarterly. We say she
Yeah,
comes
there you go.
quarterly to check in.
Yes.
So
Yep.
that
I got to get my quarterly visit.
Yeah.
I used to leave once a quarter. Now I come back once a quarter. So we just flip-flopped a little bit, but thank you both so much. I mean, truly, I have learned so much from both of you, and you guys are great mentors and friends. And yeah, thank you.
Well, we appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you. We're the lucky ones, girl. You
We
know
are.
that. But thank you so much for everybody for listening, and make sure you're following us on all your social channels at @AthCareerPod and all the podcast platforms and rating, reviewing, liking, sharing, and new episodes drop every Tuesday. So thanks everybody. Thanks,
Bye.
Andrea. Bye.
Bye.
If you like the 5 Tips and Tricks podcast, make sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. You can rate and review us, including questions that may be answered on future episodes. The 5 Tips and Tricks podcast for careers in athletics is part of Athletic Career Consulting. Check us out at www.athcareer.com. Don't forget to follow and like us on your top social media platforms.